The Atlantic tropics are heating up. Good evening, I'm Mike Naso with this Wednesday night update on the tropics. We have a new tropical storm out there, a hurricane headed for the Azores, and another interesting feature. Here's the entire Atlantic basin. Our Hurricane Gabrielle is sitting right here, racing towards the Azores, expected to bring hurricane conditions and then head towards Portugal as a weakening non-tropical system, but still potential impacts there. We'll talk about that. We have a brand new tropical storm sitting right here in the middle of the central Atlantic, forecast to become a powerful hurricane and head very close to Bermuda. And then we have an invest area over the areas there of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. This could become a feature to watch over the Bahamas and the eastern seaboard of the United States. So we'll talk about all this. Here's the latest on our newest tropical storm. Now, this is just designated. It skipped over depression status. This is Tropical Storm Humberto, and Humberto is at 20.1 north, 54.9 west, winds of 40 miles per hour, so it's a minimum tropical storm, and it's sitting about 1,008 millibar pressure, moving west-northwest at 15, and it should continue a very slow motion throughout the weekend, but as we get towards Saturday and Sunday, it should start to accelerate west-northwest, becoming a hurricane, and then a stronger hurricane of at least Category 2, of course, a major hurricane is Category 3 and above, as it heads somewhere here towards the southwest of Bermuda. So potentially putting Bermuda more at risk of its stronger right side than Bermuda was from Gabrielle. However, there is uncertainty about the future track of this system, and I will talk about that. This is Gabrielle, there we go. This is Humberto. And Humberto, what did they say? What is the lat long? 20.1 north, 54.9 west. So let's see, 20.1 would be about here, and 54.9. The center is somewhere in this area here where convection's blowing. Not terribly well organized, but definitely bursting. It's got some good thunderstorm activity for a weak tropical storm. And through time, Humberto will become a hurricane. There are some of the Caribbean islands on the left side of your screen there that are coming into view. Again, it should remain north of the Caribbean islands. Nevertheless, we have the feature off towards the west, and this is Invest 94L, and 94L is an 80% chance of development over the next week, 30% chance through the next 48 hours. The National Hurricane Center says we're going to have heavy rain, gusty winds for Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands today, over the Dominican Republic tonight. Now, the system should slow down, turn northwest, and reach the southwest Atlantic later this week. Environmental conditions are forecast to become more conducive, and a tropical depression is likely to form in the vicinity of the Bahamas. So if you're in the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, the Dominican, Turks, Caicos, and the Bahamas, monitor the progress. Now, the Air Force is out there right now, headed out there to gather information, not with the system itself, but in the surrounding areas. There's the thunderstorm south of Puerto Rico blowing up pretty good, not looking like it's over land, thankfully, with heavy rain. But again, over the Dominican here, you guys could have a flood threat. But the Air Force is zigzagging around ahead of it because they want to sample the environment to try and give us an idea of what we're dealing with here in the future, because we've had some disturbing model runs with this system. Now, this is a beautiful shot showing our systems. There goes Gabrielle off the screen here in red. There's Humberto. Here's our wave over Puerto Rico. This is an area of disturbed weather north of the Abaco Islands, and there's troughiness off the eastern seaboard. So what we think's going to happen is, right now, Humberto's going to move in this general direction. Now, most likely it would turn out. However, as this system develops, if it does over the Bahamas, there could be some interaction between the two. There is such a thing called the Fujiwara effect. Now, the Fujiwara effect is basically where one system kind of pirouettes around the other. So you get one hurricane in proximity to the other, moving kind of back and around as the other one moves out. Sort of like a pirouette ice skater. It's hard to describe. We might see an interaction with these systems. Now, these are the European ensembles for the wave over Puerto Rico, and they're much closer to the United States and certainly the Bahamas than Humberto. And so That's a problem. I mean, there are some members of the European there that show a strike on Florida. One of them dips into the Caribbean and then comes up to the Gulf. Another slams it right into areas there of the Georgia-South Carolina border, some into North Carolina, some further up the coast. That could be an interaction between the two. Now, here is the European model. Now, this is as of 12Z. You want to see something scary, I'll show you this. Watch what happens, and I'll progress it here as our system comes up. Now, you see on the screen we've got our two systems. So this is Humberto here. Looks like a strong hurricane. Here's our other system developing over the Bahamas. Now, this would be on Sunday night. Okay? Now, continue to watch what happens here. Humberto is about to move out, and it kind of drags our system out, but then it gets left behind. This is the second system. And watch where this second system decides to go. Not out to sea, but straight into North Carolina, Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula, all the way into New Jersey, Long Island, and Rhode Island as a powerful hurricane. So it would kind of be a track like that because it's interacting with Hurricane Humberto. That's troubling. I mean, that is a scary, scary run. Watch again as the heights for Humberto build back in, trapping the second system. See this? The system gets trapped and left behind. Humberto's long gone, but because our system's trapped, it just winds up getting slammed, boom, right into the mid-Atlantic and New England. Now again, we don't have anything there yet other than a wave near Puerto Rico, but this is why the United States Air Force is already doing synoptic flights trying to figure out what exactly is in the environment. Maybe we could put some of that data into computer models just to get an idea, because we want to know what's going to happen. Because there's a chance Humberto could move out, this system might not develop, might get sucked up, might move out, but there's another chance that we could have a serious threat in about a week or so. Conditions looking more and more favorable. Shear is decreasing ahead of both of these systems. So even though it's unfavorable for Humberto right now and for our system in the Caribbean, within a couple of days, they should both have pretty good environments and warm water. And so strengthening shouldn't be a concern for being able to strengthen. We should see them be able to strengthen. So we're going to watch this very, very carefully. The Azores, you are under a hurricane warning. Hurricane Gabrielle still out there, a one-time Category 4 hurricane, now down to a Category 2 at 36.0 north, 45.2 west, moving east at 28, flying east at 28. It should impact the Azores by Friday morning. And then look at this. Even though it's a weakening non-tropical system, impacting areas of Spain and Portugal. And is that Morocco it's headed towards? I know my geography. This is Morocco. Crazy. The idea of this system, a hurricane near Bermuda, making all the way to Morocco and North Africa. It's just crazy, crazy. Nevertheless, here are the impacts. Number one, it should approach the Azores late on Thursday as a hurricane. Hurricane warning is in effect, and hurricane conditions are likely Thursday night into Friday. Significant wind gusts are likely across portions of the Azores even after the center of Gabrielle passes. Secondly, a dangerous storm surge and coastal flooding in the Azores. Surge will be accompanied by large and destructive waves. And finally, swells from Gabrielle will continue to affect Bermuda, the east coast of the United States from North Carolina all the way into Atlantic Canada for the next day or so. Watch out for life-threatening rip currents. So again, Gabrielle there on the satellite, still a Category 2, the Azores right in here, and it's moving fast enough towards the east, maybe east-northeast, to where it's going to impact you. Again, we're going to watch Humberto down here and our wave. Again, I mentioned the Air Force is zigzagging around, trying to feel out the environment ahead of this system, because if one is a bigger threat to the U.S., it might be this system here, not necessarily Humberto. But again, Humberto could move that way, and then we could have some kind of interaction where the system kind of loops around like I showed you the Fujiwara effect. And so there's a lot of questions, but a lot of time to watch. Narda. We got Narda in the Eastern Pacific. Hurricane Narda at 15.1 north, 112.3 west. 100 miles an hour, Category 2, racing west, sailing west at 10 miles an hour. Should weaken and head on out to sea. Not going to be a problem. There's the visible. It's still light out in the Pacific. And there is Hurricane Narda, a run-of-the-mill Cat 2, spinning in the open Pacific. Not going to have to deal with it anymore. That'll do it for this time on the tropics. We'll continue to watch Gabrielle's impact on the Azores, Humberto's strengthening, and the more serious potential threat of our system near areas of the Bahamas. I'm Mike Naso, and I'll talk to you next time.